How have you come back from Perth? 1-4 with fresh wounds. How would you describe your scenario?
Quite plain, mate.
Yes.
Just to be sarcastic.
But
we're definitely not where we wanted to be and where we planned to be. The early part of the season hasn't been what we'd hoped for, and a lot of things that we'd worked on through pre-season haven't really panned out well. So, over the last couple of weeks we've taken pause. We're having a look at the way that the game's settled, what we've got at our disposal, and looking at the best path forward. So that was a large part around Darcy going forward. And there was some encouraging signs with that, but clearly it opened us up at the other end. We need to find the balance to be able to execute our brand more consistently, and then we'll get an idea of where we sit.
How difficult is that to do early in a season?
Oh, well, everyone starts, with the same challenge, I suppose, and our list dynamic is a little different to the last 2 or 3 years, where we've introduced more youth. We're not quite as deep in terms of experience, but until recently, our injury profile's been pretty good. So I can't sit here and say that injuries has cost us in that sense, but we just haven't been able to click as a unit. We haven't found our best, and the challenge for us is to do that.
When you say pause, most observers say, and you may not agree, that you're too defensive. So when you pause, you're looking at personnel, you're looking at game style, you're looking at everything. Part of that sort of recalibration of moving Darcy forward, is that a change of attitude from you as coach?
I think it's just an acceptance that what we have forward of the ball hasn't worked for us, and it's been over. We were really good in 18. We were okay in 19, and last year was difficult for everyone to assess, what was actually working and what wasn't. There was so much that was happening off the field that was pulled onto the field that was a challenge. But defensively, we're stacking up really well. I mean, the D's have been criticised, I suppose, for their defensive efficiency, and would be as good as anyone in the competition so far after 5 games, and still bringing the offensive balance. So that's what we want. We are a very good defensive side. We defend turnover really well. We defend the ground really well. We're hard to move the ball against, but that's good for one part. We need to be able to have some hurt factor going back the other way, and we're looking for that.
How were you situated? Last year of your contract, you're 1-4. You know your name's going to come up in discussions. Everyone's started talking about it already. Are you able to just ignore all that and able just to concentrate in the group? I think 2017 it might have seeped into the group. It was pretty fierce.
Oh, yeah. I think in the end you either allow it or you don't. And there's more than just the senior coach that takes the leadership role. But I've spent my whole life being judged internally as much as externally. So you sort of get used to it.
Internally, no one could...
No, mate, you do.
Seriously?
But I think you get used to it, and I'm a lot better at handling it now than I used to be. So I think I'm in a better position to be able to handle that scrutiny, even from 3 or 4 years ago. Because largely my job is about what happens back to the coaches, back to the players, maintaining the composure of not getting caught up in the moment and being able to see the bigger picture of what we're heading towards. And I think that's really what the senior coach's job is, as much as anything, is selling the positivity of possibility rather than getting caught up and finding the things that are working now and reinforcing those as much as it is finding the things that you need to improve.
I just want to ask you one more, Goody.
Yep.
One more. So there's been a re-track for Collinwood, I think. You're bringing a lot of kids, you're trying, say, Keane down back, Darcy forward. A sort of a semi-rebuild of your list is going on. Semi-major, whatever you want to call it. You're setting out on this path of doing this. You desperately want to continue next year and continue rebuilding this football club, because it's begun. It's begun in the first 5 weeks this year. So it's a real reset for the club and for yourself. Are you super keen to coach next year, or do you think that will be a decision that you and the club will have to make at the end of the year?
I think it's a decision that clubs and coaches make at different points of their journeys. Whether my travel or my journey with Collinwood has been intertwined for a long period of time now. On the field, off the field. I mean, I have a great passion for the club. I have a great passion for helping young men make their way through it. And we've been challenged quite a bit on and off the field as an organisation. And I think we're taking great strides towards being a better organisation. And we want to be a better team as well. But you look at our win-loss at the moment, we're 1-4. And I'm accountable to that. I find, I take responsibility for that. But I don't think it's dire. I think that we have some youth to look forward to, but we also have some connection pieces that we haven't been able to find at this point that I'm pretty sure that when we find them, that we can be a very good team in the short term. So it's not just about
long term,
next year or the year. I still think we can be a good team this year.
Do you desperately want to coach this football club next year?
I'm desperately doing that right now and doing it to the best of my ability.
Next year?
Well, I'm contracted at the end of the year, so I understand where you're trying to go with this. I
just want to understand your passion. I know your passion's strong, but I don't want you shouldn't have to beg for your job and go on TV, but I'm just trying to get a handle on how desperate...
I don't have any desperation in me at all. I'm really focused on what I'm doing right now, and I believe that if I'm doing that job to the best of my capacity and the people around me are thriving and blossoming, well then that's what a senior coach's role is. If they're not, and if change needs to occur, well then I'll be a part of having that conversation with the club. And Roddy's been in the chair now for 11 weeks, and he knows the game really well, and I'm pretty sure that he brings fresh eyes to have a look at that. And I value his opinion and his perspective. But our CEO's been there for 3 or 4 years. We've got a fairly established leadership group in the playing group, and our coaching panel is largely established. So whether there's enough fresh ideas there, but we've got to execute. If you don't win, like if you don't perform well on the weekend or over a period of time, the player has selection feedback. I think that happens for us
as coaches
on a little bit longer timeline, but it happens.